Welcome to Social Talk with a Buzz, where we dive deep into the stories that stop us in our tracks. Not just for clicks or clout, but because they say something about the world we live in. Today's story is one of the most heartbreaking and confusing I've come across in a while. It's about a 17-year-old Georgia girl, Sarah Grace Patrick, who's now charged with killing her own mother and stepfather. Back in February of 2025, police say Kristen and James Brock were shot in their bed. The worst part? It was their 6-year-old daughter, Sarah's little sister, who found their bodies. Let that sink in. A child walked into a room and saw something no one should ever have to witness. Sarah Grace, the older sister, called 911. But after that, she went online. She started posting emotional TikToks, crying, asking for prayers, talking about how broken she was over the loss of her parents. And a lot of people believed her.
On the morning of February 20th, 2025, deputies with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office responded to a tragic scene at 1531 Carrollton Tyus Road. They discovered the bodies of James Brock, 45, and Kristen Brock, 41, both deceased from apparent gunshot wounds. From the very moment the 911 call was received, a relentless investigation began, one that would span months, consume thousands of man-hours, and require the full weight of the local and federal law enforcement agency partnerships. Today, we can confirm that an arrest has been made in the case. Kristen Brock's 17-year-old daughter, Sarah Grace Patrick, has been taken into custody and charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault in connection with the deaths of her mother and her stepfather. While the case has not remained in the public spotlight in recent months, the investigation has never gone silent. Led by investigator T.J. Repetto, our team has pursued every lead, sifted through mountains of physical and digital evidence, conducted countless interviews, and collaborated with agencies such as the FBI, the GBI Crime Lab, and private forensic laboratories. In a world where television portrays crimes being solved in under an hour, the truth here is much more complex. Real justice takes time. Time to ensure that no detail is overlooked and no stone is not turned over. Sheriff Terry Langley, alongside Captain Guy Pope and Lieutenant Jackson Lawrence, has remained committed to ensuring that justice is served in this heartbreaking case. Their leadership, combined with the tireless dedication of our investigators, has brought us to this point today. We know the public has been eager for answers, and we want to be clear. So have we. But bringing forth the truth responsibly and thoroughly is our highest obligation. We are proud of the unwavering commitment shown by every member of the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, and we stand behind the process that has led us here today. Our prayers remain with the families of James and Kristen Brock, and especially with their young daughter who was home during this horrific crime. We also want to extend our heartfelt thanks to the community that has rallied for justice and has never given up hope. The pursuit of justice does not end today, however. It is very possible, because this remains an open and ongoing investigation, that more arrests and charges could be made. So with that, I will open this up to questions.
Has she been charged as an adult?
She has.
And any idea what her motive was that she made a confession?
We are still working with her diligently. Our investigators have been speaking with her.
It is correct that she was the one who made the 911 call, correct?
Yes.
At what point did investigators begin to focus on her as the suspect?
So I believe in the beginning of any case, everyone's a suspect. I think I told many of you that when we were on scene that day. However, as an investigation continues and everything ebbs and flows, like I said in my press release, mountains of evidence has gotten us through here today. Lots of processing, lots of working with our law enforcement partners to get us to where we are today that honed in on her as a suspect.
Do you believe that she tried to cover this up in any way over the course of these months? You know, we've even seen some videos on social media of somebody saying, you know, I'm making this message on behalf of the daughter. Do you believe she tried to get people to cover up anything?
Considering that she didn't just immediately tell us what happened, yes. But who knows what's going on in a young person's mind like that. But she has been arrested and charged now, and we feel confident that she is responsible for their murders. But like I said, it is an open, ongoing investigation. It's very possible others are involved as well.
What was the key break in the case?
Just evidence, being able to go through evidence, being able to use private laboratories, being able to use GBI Crime Lab. You know, when you're processing stuff, like I said, it doesn't come back in an hour. So we've been filtering through, and there's still evidence left to process.
You noted the digital evidence. I assume that's text messages, emails. Was there some type of a trail that led you that way?
There's always a lot of evidence. I won't go into exactly what it is because it is an open, ongoing investigation, but we have mountains of evidence.
What about the social media or TikTok, that type of stuff? Any of that going to be used?
That will be up to the prosecuting attorney, and they'll work diligently with our investigators to make the case go forward towards trial or whatever they decide to do.
Was that the younger daughter, the youngest child that found them?
I believe that, and you speak to this, Kim, the smallest daughter found them that morning, correct? And then she came and told Sarah, and then Sarah made the 911 call.
Where was Sarah?
Sarah was in the home.
No, I mean, in the interim. Where was she? Who was she living with?
She's 17. She's kind of been out on her own.
Was she out on her own at the time?
No, she lived at home with her mother and stepfather at that time. But since then, she's lived with different family members and kind of moved all over the place.
Did she turn herself in?
Yes, she did turn herself in this morning.
Do you believe that any of the other family members knew about this?
Hard to tell. I can say this, that everybody that we have talked to through the course of the investigation that are family members have been nothing but cooperative. Anything else?
Did you do anything after the murder during the investigation that you guys will use in your
Like I said, we're still kind of putting all the pieces of the puzzle together, but I can tell you what led us here today, and that's the evidence that Sarah killed her parents.
Did she say why she turned herself in?
She turned herself in because we notified her she had warrants for her arrest.
Did she have any previous charges, any previous calls to that house regarding?
Not that I'm aware of, not regarding her, not that I'm aware of.
Did she seem remorseful?
I have not been personally with her or interviewed her, so I could not answer that question.
I know this is shocking
Sure.
for her family as well.
Mhm.
Did you get any kind of, were they shocked as well, surprised?
Like I said, her family's been very cooperative. I can't imagine as a parent making. Her father brought her up here this morning. She turned herself in. I can't imagine what he's going through, so my heart goes out to him as well.
You talked about the family. I know they've been trying their best to keep this in the forefront.
Yes.
I know you guys are working behind the scenes.
Yes.
I guess it takes, especially for a case this big, it takes a lot of time to make sure the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. I mean,
Yes.
Can you speak to that? Because they've been seeming like on social media that they were frustrated, but it takes a lot to make
Yeah, and we understand. I mean, if you don't work in the law enforcement field, like I said, CSI's kind of tainted us where, hey, something happens, it's done in an hour. This is not the case. I mean, and not only that, don't you want the right person arrested? So that's why it takes so long. These diligent investigators took their time. We've got the person that we believe orchestrated this and committed this horrific crime, and that was played through the part of evidence, and that's not something that's processed overnight.
Do you know where the weapon was obtained from?
I can't speak to that right now. Still investigation. Say that
The
again?
younger child, how old is she?
She is 6 years old now.
Who has custody over?
She's staying with family.
Can you speak to like just how heinous this is? That she-
Oh, it's absolutely a shock to our community. Carroll County is a great community. We very rarely have stranger-on-stranger crime here, so I would like to say that we're not a dangerous community. I know that the Tice community that this happened in, those neighbors were really up in arms, as they should have been. Like I said, this has been a process to get us to where we're at today, but we don't know what goes through the mind of a child who wants to harm their parents. So that I can't answer right now, but it is a very horrific and sad case.
Was there any evidence of any type of, I don't want to say abuse, but challenges in the home?
Still an ongoing investigation.
Then for anybody, who worked on this case, I don't know if there's ever been any other case like this in any of your careers, or if this is one of a few, but just when the facts, as you say, lead you to this conclusion, is it difficult, or what is that like just as a human, kind of when you follow the facts?
Anytime you work a case where somebody's life has been cut short, James is a special case because I believe, according to his family, he had a lot of heart trouble. He'd had numerous heart surgeries. I believe he may have been waiting on a heart transplant at some point. And to have his life cut short when he was given so many opportunities to live, to me, that's a big takeaway from this story, and that a mother and a stepfather will never be able to raise their children and the little girl that was in the home. To me, she's probably the saddest victim in all of this.
You You did mention she didn't turn herself in. You said she was turned in with her father.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
At first. But she didn't just grieve. She reached out to a true crime TikToker, asking them to cover her parents' case. Like she was a fan submitting a story. That raised eyebrows. Then came the funeral. Sarah gave a long, emotional eulogy, but some family members said something felt off. They said it felt like acting, like she was performing. Now, after months of investigating, digging through phones, digital evidence, physical evidence, police arrested Sarah. They believe she's the one who pulled the trigger. She turned herself in earlier this week with her biological father by her side, and now she's facing adult charges for murder. Reflection and heartfelt take. This is one of those cases that just haunts you. If Sarah Grace really did this, then we're talking about a young girl who took the lives of the people who raised her and then grieved online like it never happened. But if she didn't do it, then she's a teenager who lost her family and is now being blamed for it. No matter which way you look at it, it's tragic. There's a child out there, her younger sister, who has to grow up carrying all of this. The loss, the trauma, the confusion. That's the part that breaks my heart the most. Outrow call to action. What do you think really happened here? Is Sarah guilty, or is there more to the story than we're being told? Let me know in the comments, and please be respectful. This isn't just a headline, it's a real family's pain. You're watching Social Talk with a Buzz, and I'll see you in the next one.
If you follow true crime, you've probably already heard by now about 17-year-old Georgia teen Sarah Grace Patrick. She has been charged with killing her mother and stepfather, and before this blew up on mainstream media, she was all over TikTok looking for their killer. So some of these screenshots that I am going to share with you come from her account, and they are a whole rabbit hole in and of themselves. These are just some of the postings she has made about the family.
Are you fucking serious right now? Breaking news, a 17-year-old has taken the life of both of her parents and allowed her 5-year-old sister to discover them deceased. On February 20th, authorities say they were called to the home where they found the couple deceased in their bed. They said the parent's 17-year-old daughter is the one who placed the 911 call. However, their 6-year-old daughter is the one who discovered them. There are conflicting reports on whether the child was 5 or 6 years old. Authorities said, quote, from the very moment the 911 call was received, a relentless investigation began. During the initial investigation, authorities realized that there were no signs of forced entry into the home, although one door of the house was left slightly ajar. In addition to that, nothing had been taken. They said, quote, our team has sifted through mountains of physical and digital evidence and collaborated with the FBI and GBI crime lab. They said another key piece of evidence that they used in order to charge the teen was her, quote, tearful speech at her mother's funeral. They said they believe this was a ploy to help cover her tracks. They said it took so long to charge the teen because investigators wanted to ensure that they got the right person. Before the 17-year-old daughter was arrested, many who knew the couple pleaded for whoever committed the crime to turn themselves in. No one knew that it was their 17-year-old daughter. Sarah Grace Patrick turned herself into the Carroll County Jail on Tuesday. They stated that she will also be charged as an adult. The couple is survived by their 7 children who they had together in a combined family. If convicted, she faces life in prison without the possibility of parole. Investigators say at this time they are still working to figure out a motive for the crime.
So not only did this teenager ask me to cover a case that she would wind up being arrested in, but her comments on that video that I made that she requested are so disturbing to look at now. Sarah Grace has now been arrested and charged with taking her mother and stepfather's life. She requested that I make a video about it, and then she commented, "Thank you for spreading awareness." She also replied to this person who asked what was used in this crime, and she answered. This person commented and said, from an investigative standpoint, it would seem that it was someone who knew them, hoping for answers and swift justice. Sarah Grace, the daughter and stepdaughter of these victims who has now been arrested, said most definitely was, since they knew the house. If you don't know what case I'm talking about, this is James and Kristen Brock. They were found no longer alive in their Carroll County, Georgia home in February of this year. I learned about this case when I got a message on June 4th from the daughter of Kristen and stepdaughter of James, Sarah Grace Patrick. She was asking for me to cover the case, and I did so. I get requests like that all the time. So that is a screenshot of me covering it and where she said thank you. And as of today, July 8th, 2025, she was arrested and charged with 4 counts, in connection with taking the life of her mother and stepfather. She learned that there was an arrest warrant according to reports and turned herself in. It was her father, according to the press conference today, that dropped her off to turn herself in. That is all we know so far. So many people want to know about motive and why, but this arrest just happened today. So like in every other case, it is now a wait and see. Wait for this to make its way through the justice system. I've seen a lot of comments saying, well, if a teenager did this to their parents, they must have had a bad home life. I want to set it clear right now, everything I have heard about James and Kristen are that they were great people and beloved members of their community. And even if you go to Sarah Grace's TikTok, she seemed to love them very much. She seemed to miss them very much. So I don't want to allow a narrative to start being played out in the comments that is basically victim blaming. We will see what plays out in court. But as of now, all of the things that I have read is that these were amazing people. And yes, they had beaten a dark past, but that should have nothing to do with this conversation, because by all accounts, they had beaten that past. And anyone who has beaten a dark past, as far as my experience and the people I've known that have done so, are some of the strongest people I have ever known. And furthermore, James was on a waiting list for a heart transplant. So he was having to get tested all the time for substances. So if people are trying to say, oh, well, they did substances in the past, this must be connected. That man had had multiple heart surgeries and he was waiting on a heart transplant. When you are waiting for that, when you are using the medical devices that he was using, you are routinely tested. So again, I cannot tell you, concrete, there was a perfect family life, so there was no reason whatsoever for this. All I can tell you is that Sarah Grace Patrick has been arrested and charged with 4 counts in connection with taking the life of her mother and her stepfather. And if you watch the press conference by the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, they seemed pretty confident and they said they have a mountain of evidence. So we will see what plays out, but I just wanted to clear that up pretty quickly. I don't want to allow that narrative on my page. If it turns out that you guys were right, I will certainly come on here and make a video. But for now, I request that we all wait to see what comes out. And rest in peace to Kristen and James Brock. This is absolutely devastating, disturbing. But of course, Sarah Grace Patrick, just like anyone else who has just been arrested, is innocent until proven guilty or until she pleads guilty. So right now, these are accusations, these are charges, these are not convictions. I will keep you posted on this case. Let me know your thoughts. And one last time, rest in peace to Kristen and James Brock.
I get to feeling guilty and I think about my mom. I'm the first one in my family to see $1 million.
I was ready for my brother's Tristan. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Sarah, and I'm Kristen Brock's daughter and James Brock's stepdaughter. This isn't easy. I don't know how Ben and Angie do this all the time, but I'm really happy I get to do this. But just bear with me because I stutter a lot. I just wanted to say goodbye to my mom and Jamie since we never got the chance to. I was so used to you guys always being here to the point that I never once thought to imagine y'all not being here. I didn't have a single clue how much I needed y'all until now. For James, thank you for all the life lessons you taught me and for being the best, honest dad ever. Your heart will finally be healed in heaven and neither of y'all will be in any pain anymore. Although that gives me so much comfort, your fight was not supposed to end there. And for my mother, everything we went through does not define what kind of person or what kind of mother you were. You were a beautiful, kind soul with so much gratitude and so gosh dang strong. And you taught me so many life lessons, and some that you just recently taught me with through a letter you sent to James in 2018. When I first read it, I smiled and I cried and I got chill bumps. But every single time I read it, it puts me to a lot of peace. So I thought I would share it. May 23rd, 2018, Deuteronomy 6:5. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. The wrong one will find you in peace and leave you in pieces, but the right one will find you in pieces and lead you in peace. We can't always choose the music that life plays for us, but you can choose how we dance to it. She was always dancing to her own beat, LOL. And keep in mind, she wrote that herself. Eventually, all the pieces fall into place, but until then, laugh at the confusion, live for the moment, and know that everything happens for a reason. I can choose to let it define me, confine me, refine me, outshine me, or I can choose to move on and leave it behind me. Always, Kristen Brock. Considering that gave me so much closure, I want to remember them for who they were and not what happened to them, and be happy for the time we got to spend together and not sad about the time that we don't. I may always and will always be her sunshine, but she will always be my star from up above. And I know at nighttime I can go and look at Mama and Jamie in the sky, and gladly they will save me a seat in heaven like they saved for me. I'm sorry. Gladly they will save a seat for me in heaven like they've saved a seat for me in this very church. Although there's nothing we can do to bring them back, we still have control over how we treat people with us today. Therefore, when someone tries to tell you anything, no matter how important it could be, just listen, because you never know when it's somebody's time to go. You could say goodnight and wake up a few hours just to find out they aren't there to spread their joy and their love. So just listen and never take a hug or anyone or anything for granted, and love with all that you have in you like they did. And lastly, my take on not taking people for granted. I want to thank my family, also known as my Cata fam, my grandparents, my siblings, Jaylee, Donnie, Jaden, Jojo, Trent, Tristan, Ashley, and Jesse for helping me get through my worst nightmare. And last but not least, I want to thank Tasha, Bree, Nate, Lane, Kimberly Hayes, Kim Bowling, Katie, and most of all, my father, Angie, and Ben for making such a big difference. Jamie and Mama would have thanked y'all too. I love you guys, and so do I. And so do they. I'm sorry. Thank you for listening to me.